Known for its incredible maneuverability, the ability to operate in tight urban spaces, and provide close air support, as well as a mode of transport for special forces, the Little Bird attack helicopter is a small but deadly machine. And here I have a very detailed in scale RC version from Yu Xiang and Razordon. This of course is a GPS powered RC helicopter, meaning that on the inside it has a lot of similar technology and flight controllers to that of a drone, making it incredibly stable and easy to fly, as well as giving it a ton of other features like GPS hold, pre-programmed flight patterns, as well as a return home feature. Now, this is the second GPS helicopter that I own, the other being the AH-64 Apache that I reviewed here on the channel not too long ago. And if this one flies anything like the Apache, I think we're in for a bit of a treat. This RC helicopter comes ready to fly and shows up in this very nice briefcase looking container that not only holds the helicopter, but as well as the two batteries that come with it, the transmitter, charger, some spare rotor blades, and the tools to swap them out. There is a slight bit of assembly that's involved, which includes installing the landing skids as well as clipping in the armament on the little wings. Now, this specific version of the Little Bird helicopter is based off of the MD500, noted by the 5-bladed rotor as well as the 2-bladed tail rotor. And just by looking at it, you can see an incredible amount of detail that is spread throughout the entire helicopter, both on the outside and even on the inside, which you can see even more when you pop open the functional doors. Now, this is classified as a 1/16 scale RC helicopter, giving it a 430mm rotor diameter and an overall length of about 485mm. Powering the main rotor is a 560 kV brushless motor, which you can see by popping open one of the rear doors, while the tail rotor is powered by a separate 4400 kV brushless motor, giving it a direct drive tail rotor, meaning that the blades do not change pitch at all. Instead, the speed of the motor will speed up or slow down, which helps control the yaw of the helicopter. Now, as far as what else is going on the inside of this helicopter, there are metal gear servos which will control the pitch of the main rotor blades, as well as a LiDAR and optical flow system that help keep this helicopter incredibly stable even in windy conditions. The transmitter that's included requires 4 AA batteries to get powered up and features a full color screen, which gives us telemetry, GPS information, as well as some other information about what's all going on with the helicopter while it's flying. You'll also notice that it features 4 switches on the face of the transmitter, which include a switch to trigger some pre-programmed flight patterns like figure 8s and such, a switch to select between auto or intelligent and manual mode, essentially giving you more control of the helicopter, your lock and unlock button, which is essentially your kill switch, and then finally a 3-position switch, which is your GPS selection, allowing you to select between different GPS modes and the return to home feature that's included. Now, if you've flown Yu Xiang helicopters before, or GPS helicopters in general, this should look pretty familiar. Overall, right out of the box, I'm loving this thing, but of course the real test is going to be getting it in the air and seeing how it does. So that being said, let's go flying. All right, since this is the first flight of the MD500 Little Bird, there's a few calibrations that we need to do first. One of them being the gyroscope calibration. So we have our radio on right now. We're gonna go ahead, turn the helicopter itself on. All the lights should come on. You should see it starting to connect. Now, we're gonna give it a little bit too, because what it's doing right now, it's going to be connecting to satellites and GPS signals. So you'll see that by the number on the top of the transmitter here. I usually like to get it to at least like 8 if I can, but the more that we stay out here, the more that it starts to connect to satellites and things like that. There we go, we already have 8 connected, which is awesome. We're gonna hopefully continue to get a little more there, but it's always a number just to keep an eye on. That is your connected number of satellites, essentially. So first calibration we want to do, like I said, is the gyroscope calibration. That essentially is going to be the gyro that keeps it stable. That one's really easy. You're just gonna push this stick up and to the left, this stick down to the right. You're gonna see the light start to flash a ton back here, and then it'll go solid green again. So gyroscope is calibrated. Now the other one is going to be our compass. We do have an internal compass on here. We need to calibrate that. Now that one, a little bit more involved. That one, you basically do the opposite. So down to the left, up and to the right, that top LED is gonna start flashing. So we have like a flashing yellow. The first thing we wanna do is just start turning it on this axis until that light turns a solid color. You have to do this a few times, but once you do this at your flying site, you are pretty much good to go. All right, so it's actually flashing green now, so we should be able to turn it up on its nose, continue to rotate it, and then it should turn in solid color once it is all calibrated. There we are. Solid green means we are good to go. Note on this, if you are in a place with a bunch of like metal buildings or something like that, it can have an effect on the compass. So if you can, try to fly out in an open area, or at least calibrate it in an open area. But we at 26, 25 on the transmitter right now, we are pretty much good to go. As you can see, we got a bunch of snow out here today, so we're not gonna really be able to take off of the ground. So we're gonna try to use this table as our launch pad, essentially. So let's go ahead and get this directed in the area that we wanna go. Make sure all of our blades are good here. Now, the one thing about this transmitter, like I said, we have this lock and unlock button. You notice that this says danger. That doesn't mean that it's armed. It actually means that if you hit this into the lock mode while you're flying, you will lose all control of your helicopter. But as soon as you flip it to arm, essentially, you'll notice that the rotor head starts to move. All of our servos are active. You do not want to hit this unless it is an absolute emergency while in the air, or you will lose your helicopter. Other switches on here, we have this in auto. We got our GPS mode, which is right in the middle there. The flip to the down is actually our return to home. Everything else is set as it should. So to fire this thing up, let's go ahead and back up here just in case. We're gonna go down and out on both sticks. Ready? We do have an auto takeoff or land button. I'm just gonna go ahead and go up and throttle up on the stick here. There we are. Let's go ahead and walk this thing out here. Go trudging through the snow a little bit. So right now we have it in the GPS hold mode. So essentially, as long as I'm not touching the sticks, it is going to sit right where it needs to. We have a little bit of wind out here today, maybe like 4 or 5 miles an hour or so, but it's gonna do a pretty decent job of holding its position there. And we can, of course, go ahead and fly around. So this is in the auto mode, or the intelligent mode as it's called. So this is gonna be like your very beginner mode. It's not gonna let you really over control it whatsoever. Again, in that GPS mode, as soon as you let off the stick, it's gonna wanna reach back and hold right where it is. If you turn it into just the stabilization mode, which we'll do here, you'll see it literally kind of unlocked from that position a little bit. But what that means is if you move forward and you let go of the stick, it'll level itself, but it's not gonna try to reach back and go back to where it wants to hold. So we're gonna go flip back in GPS mode. Now, the auto and manual mode, like I said, that is your intelligent or auto mode, which is gonna limit your controls quite a bit. So let's go ahead and flip that down into manual. It's gonna essentially allow us to rotate the aircraft a little bit more. So you see that axis is way more aggressive. Allows us to fly a little bit faster, much more maneuverable. Guys, this thing looks so cool, and it is solid. Like, even on the controls, like the stick feel to it, it feels like a solid helicopter. And again, that's probably because like the controls are dialed back quite a bit. You're not gonna be ripping around in this thing, but it can get up and go. I mean, that's about full forward right there. So it's got some speed to it for sure, but it ain't your 3D helicopter or anything like that, but that's okay. This is supposed to be scale military helicopter. Guys, this thing feels just absolutely locked in. Again, still in the GPS mode, so it's gonna hold that position for us. Just get a nice side profile on there. It's an absolutely beautiful looking helicopter. Like I said, ton of scale detail on here. Flies super locked in. Let's go bring it out here. So another one of the switches here is those pre-programmed flight modes. So this is something that I actually didn't attempt with the Apache. So we have it in the GPS mode. This top left stick here is going to be one of those pre-programmed flight modes. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna put this back into auto, and we're gonna go ahead and just flip that. It's just a single touch button, and that should essentially just start flying like a little figure eight or something for us. Again, there are no like proximity sensors on this, so if you are playing with this feature, That's our figure 8 mode right there. Make sure that you got enough space for it so it doesn't fly into something, because there's nothing to prevent it from doing so. It's just going to do what it thinks it needs to do. But that's pretty cool. And I think as long as you kind of just hit the stick, then it'll knock it right out of there. So let's go ahead, flip this back into manual, bring it back here a little bit. You see the nice lights on there. Guys, I'm really liking this thing. Again, the other helicopter that we have from Yu Xiang is that AH-64 Apache. This one, even though it is technically like a smaller scale, because it is generally just a smaller helicopter, it's got more of a presence to it. The Apache is very slim. This is literally the killer egg, as it's called. Got that big egg-shaped fuselage. It's got a nice presence to it. Such an easy flying helicopter. Again, I probably wouldn't recommend this for your first ever helicopter. One, because of the price. This is a little expensive, all things considered. Ready to fly, you're looking at about $700, which is not anything to forget. It is an expensive unit, but you're paying for all the technology in here that allows you to do stuff just like this very easily. But also, because it is just a bit bigger, and there's just a lot more going on, if you can still mess up pretty bad, even though there are a lot of assists in here. If it is your first helicopter, I recommend starting off with something maybe a little bit smaller, which is kind of the opposite of how I would recommend going with planes. Get your feet under you, understand how it works, and then move your way up into something like this. Again, still super incredibly easy to fly, but there's a lot going on. And again, it is an expensive unit. You want to go out and risk a $700 unit. This thing is so cool. Super solid. Again, we have the GPS, we also have the LiDAR and optical flow in here. So even if we do put it into that stabilization mode outside of the GPS, this is just stabilization mode in the manual mode. So essentially our full rates of what we're doing here. And it really does unlock some performance with it. I'm just having a ton of fun with this. Flip it back into GPS. It'll hold it here, throw it back into auto, and it becomes incredibly stable. Again, hands off. A little bit of wind. Doing an incredible job. All right. We do have some deep snow out here. However, I don't want to risk trying to land this thing on the table, tipping it off, and possibly wrecking everything. So we're going to go ahead and just bring this in for a landing. We're going to bring the throttle down. Bury it into the snow a little bit. Go ahead and hit our lock button, so we're not going to be taking off or anything. And let's go grab it. Guys, this is a very impressive little unit. Absolutely gorgeous scale helicopter. Again, we got like all the doors and stuff that open on here. They actually do have pilot figures and stuff you can put in there or hang out the door. I think it's really cool. This is probably, I know I say it with a lot, but probably my favorite helicopter we've reviewed so far because of the looks and the flight performance on it. Guys, if you want to go ahead and check this thing out, I'll leave a link down in the description for it. It is an affiliate link, so if you do pick one up, it does give a little bit of a kickback to the channel so we can keep reviewing things just like this. But as far as I'm concerned, this thing checks out, flew really good. We're gonna get some more flights on it and possibly do an update video in the future just to see how it holds up to everything. But for now, if you wanna go check it out, like I said, link down in the description. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Alex from Hangar 14 RC. We'll see you later.